So welcome everybody. Today's business owner spotlight is with Mr. Andy Homden from Concilium Education. Andy, you're very welcome. Great to see you all prepped up there for today.
Thanks for having me here, Tom.
Yeah, hey, fantastic. So your audience here today is lots of Action Coach clients and also all of the coaches as well. So tell us, what do you do and how long have you been doing it?
Well, to go right back to the beginning, I'm a teacher. And I trained as a teacher, and I was in teaching for 35 years and then school leadership as part of that. And most of my career was overseas. So I spent a long time in some of the biggest sort of cities in the Far East and the Middle East, Kuala Lumpur, Jakarta, Bangkok. And then 8 years ago, my wife and I, we met while we were both teaching overseas in Hong Kong, came back to Donegal, where we had a holiday home. And we used to use it as a retreat from the big cities. And we thought we'd always wanted to start a business, have a go, and just have a try and see what we can do. And we thought we'd try and do it here in Ireland. And it's been a great decision. Fantastic support from Leo's, Enterprise Ireland, and from the New Frontiers program, which was tremendous. And gradually we started turning our sort of educational knowledge into some kind of business. With that support, which was very important. And what we do is we help primarily international schools or people who want to develop or start or buy international schools, because international education is becoming very, very big over the last 20 or 30 years. Big demand for education around the world in English, not just to learn English, but to be able to use it, to follow courses from, as they say, K to 12, which is kindergarten to grade 12, 3-year-olds to 18-year-olds, offering a range of programs. That's what we did, and now we help other people do it.
Okay, so you help other business owners to set up their businesses using your platform.
Absolutely. Well, not our platform so much as our knowledge.
Okay.
So
good knowledge. Okay.
We offer a variety of services, help people who just get inspired to want to start schools. They think, I've run a successful business. Education is important. I'd like to start a school. So people who want to leave a legacy in terms of education often get involved in that. Some people just want to get into education just as a business to make money. Others grow from sort of communities that say, you know what, we haven't got the provision we need in this particular region. We need to improve it. And a lot of schools start like that. So we help a whole part of different people to, first of all, I suppose, articulate their idea. What do they mean by education? What do they want to offer in education? What is their vision? And then is that a realistic vision where they are? Help them sort of understand who might want to buy into that vision. And then feasibility studies, business plannings, implementation support. And then if we're lucky, we get to help them set up the school and then run the school.
Okay, and it's interesting. And so tell me, when you do this for them, is it an ongoing situation?
Ideally, that's what we want.
Yes.
Yeah. Absolutely. So we're very concerned that people do it in the right way, because education is becoming a big business.
Yes.
But it's not like other businesses. And a lot of people who have, say, made a fortune out of setting up a mall or a shopping center or a chain of hotels expect the kind of turnaround that they're used to in their businesses, but schools are different. You've got to really, in our view, and this is the only schools that we'll get involved with, you've got to have something, you've got a responsibility, a big responsibility, both to the parents, but most importantly to the kids who attend that school.
Absolutely.
So it's got to be good, and it's got to be done in the right kind of way. Now, there is no reason at all why you can't make money out of that, as people are showing around the world. But in our view, if you do it properly, you've got to take your time. It's a slow burn setting up a good school and getting it adjusted. You don't turn around in 3, 4, 5 years and then just set it on. It takes 7, 8, 9, 10 years to get a high quality institution going, whether it's a primary school or a secondary or a university increasingly. And you build your reputation and your quality based on how the kids do in it. That's one thing, but how the kids feel about it. Do they enjoy it? Is it the range of opportunities that meets their needs? So one of the first things we do is how are you going to meet the needs of the children who are potential students? What are the needs of the potential students in your area? Be clear about that.
So in other words, it's like any business in a nice way. You just have to focus on the different things that you need to focus on in order to bring the end user, i.e. the children, or where the students are, to make sure they're going to get something out of it, and therefore they become repeat customers, etc. So tell me, COVID came along. That must have been a bit of a bonus to you then.
Well, in many ways it was. I mean, you kind of got, you were a little bit embarrassed perhaps saying, or you get asked, oh, where are you based? Donegal? Where's that? Ireland? Really? Ireland? You're offering international support? So COVID changed that. The idea of the digital nomad became totally acceptable. And it doesn't matter where you are. People realize that you can do it from, as long as you've got good connections, good transport, Wi-Fi, exactly. So that became the aspiration of many people to do what we were already doing. So that was great. And it wasn't quite so important to have, well, not so, really wasn't so important to have an office in Singapore or Dubai or wherever it was. Those people had a huge advantage, and COVID knocked away some of that advantage.
Fantastic. Okay. And it just shows you that COVID, whilst it changed us all and changed a lot of our different practices, it actually was a boon for a lot of businesses where they found out, hey, this can work on this medium. We don't have to get in a train. We don't have to get in the car every day, do all these things. So tell me, biggest learning that you've had, Andy, since you became a business owner?
Well, where do you begin? Learning is always ongoing, and it still is. And you sometimes just get burrowed down into the details and you forget what you've learned. And you think, I've got to wind back and say, okay, I've got to apply those principles. If I was to single out 2 or 3 ideas, I think good ideas don't sell themselves. You've got to put them in front of people. You've got to find your audience. You've got to make your audience realize that you've got something which is of value. And I think that's the second, perhaps even more important idea, the idea of the value proposition. I think people tend to think in terms of the unique selling point. Well, that's a one-way process. That's all about you, what you can do. When you're thinking about the value proposition, you're thinking about what do our clients need, and you're trying to empathize with them and put yourself in their shoes, and then what have we got? And then the way that we sometimes put it to our clients, you know, how can we help you in the short term? What's the short term pain we can relieve, and what is the long term gain that you can get out from working with us? And interestingly, we've been able to apply that to our clients. A lot of our clients are UK independent schools, and they wish to start an international business partnership to start a new school somewhere in the world, whether it's the Middle East or the Far East or America or wherever. And they have to start thinking differently as well. So we coach them in the idea of, you've got to not sell yourself in the way that you sell yourself to your parents. You're very good at that already. But if you just produced a parent brochure for an international business partner, you're not going to really get very far. So you've got to think what they need, what value you can offer, and how you can help them set up schools from that perspective.
It's a bit like in our world in coaching, and you're saying something very similar. What do you sell? What's your customer buying from you? 2 different things.
Yes.
If you don't see that, then you've got a problem. Yeah.
That's a really good way of putting it. And you see that when you're running schools as well. When parents come to you, you realize that they want to come to you, but they're not quite clear about what they're buying into. It's interesting.
You got to be clear about it. So tell me, biggest learnings in life that you've got since you became a business owner about yourself?
You've got to be patient. You mustn't run down every rabbit hole that you see. But on the other hand, it's a balancing act, isn't it? You've got to keep your eye open for new opportunities that you think is worth investing money and time in, to see where the gaps are. But I suppose to discipline yourself to focus as well, that's difficult. you see something, you think, oh, that's good, but really, is it that good? Is it going to be worth the time you spend on it?
Mhm.
And it's a difficult balancing act. So learning about that all the time.
Yeah, but as you say, learning is key to everything, and if you're not learning, where are you going?
Exactly.
So tell me, what does the future look like for Concilium Education, and what do you see as potentially the main challenges you may face?
Well, I think it's a cliche, but the challenge is the opportunity. um, the current, okay, international education has grown not exponentially, but very rapidly and quite considerably, to the point where it's a multi-billion sort of dollar business now. And it's grown in circumstances that have been, we now realize, calm, low interest rates, world peace, not too much going on, low prices for getting around, and people are moving about all over the place. So they want international schools, they move to areas, and countries are growing. And as they grow, those people who see the opportunity want to send their children to these schools. That's changed a lot in the last year, of course. Inflation, instability, geopolitics in China, as well as the Middle East, as well then catastrophically in Europe. But at the same time, people still want education, and so they want it in English, and they want it to give the opportunity to their kids, and they're prepared to take risks for it. So how can we help schools, and how can we help school owners and people who want to start schools set up and continue in a way that makes sense, and that they can still offer the ideas that they want to offer, while at the same time doing it efficiently, effectively, and not wasting their money on things that they don't need to spend on. So how can they review their operations? How can they look at the efficiencies they can make without necessarily affecting the quality of the output?
So lots of learnings there, and I suppose it comes back to the old thing: it's still a business, no matter what you're selling.
Yep.
And to have that business, what it is you're selling, who you're selling it to, and where the value proposition, as you said quite rightly, is the important thing to get across out there. But working on your own for the first time in your life, if it is, if your first time, it's a daunting proposition, because you're on your own.
It is.
Make great decisions, yeah. Based on what?
I don't know, based on what you believe in, I think, because if we didn't believe in it, we wouldn't do it. And we always took that approach to, do we believe in this school? Can we work for this school? That becomes, can we work for this school as consultants? And I think belief is really important. That's important to us. And I think the other thing, exactly, that kind of commitment, because we believe in the kind of education that we know that kids need. We absolutely know they need different things and so on. So we've got a responsibility to our clients to make sure that they understand their responsibilities to the students. And that's not always the case.
So tell me, two more questions here. Who then, in a nice way to our audience here today, who give us an example of a good customer for you?
A good customer thinks, challenges us, and listens to us. We love working with people who say, who ask the right questions, and who get where they need to go by thinking through those things. We like being pushed by those people.
Excellent.
Someone who is difficult to work for, in our opinion, is people who are not listening or not taking on board the ideas and making them part of what they could do. And it's so frustrating at times. You say, oh, if only they had, but you've got to hold back, and you've got to be diplomatic. In the end, we walked away from a couple of opportunities because we think they can make something of it, but it's not in the kind of way that we want to do it.
It's not all easy out there, as they say. So that question I'm going to ask you is, what would be the best advice you would give to an 18-year-old you?
Oh, that is a very, very difficult question. Be open-minded. be see opportunities for what they are, and don't be necessarily daunted by them. Be a little bit more ambitious. In fact, be very more ambitious, and be prepared to be confident, but to moderate that confidence to make sure it doesn't become complacency or, arrogance. Because 18-year-olds are all self-centered. They think about themselves. Okay. It changes. Well, does it change? I don't know. But to see where you fit in and find the place that will suit you. And the advice that I give all 18-year-olds, when they often come and say, okay, what course do you think I should do? What course do you... The first thing you absolutely have to do, and I was lucky enough to do this, do what you enjoy first. Everything else follows.
Do something you like, and then you'll never work a day in your life. Isn't that what they say?
Exactly.
Listen, Andy, thank you so much for taking part in this today. It's been fascinating learning about you and your business. And as I say, we've all got challenges, we've all got strengths, we've all got weaknesses, but being able to move forward as you have done since 2014, fantastic. So for our listeners here, if they want to find out more about you, they can just go to consiliumeducation.com.
Yep.
Fantastic. And if they want to contact you directly and have a chat, I presume there's contact details.
There certainly is. And the other thing that we run, and we always wanted to run, we publish an online magazine once a month, International Teacher Magazine.
Oh.
And we take on board a variety of articles. We started writing all the articles ourselves in the beginning. Now we hardly write any. So through the Consilium website, you can also get access to the latest edition of ITM, which came out last week.
Fantastic. Andy Homden, Consilium Education, many thanks for investing your time with us today and wishing you every success in your future growth.
Thank you very much, Tom. Cheers.